Power Project family, how's it going? Now, on this podcast, we talk all about recovery, which is why 8 Sleep are the beds that we sleep on. Now, 8 Sleep is the Tesla of beds. Not only does it track your heart rate, your HRV, your tosses and turns, it also tracks how long you've been in each sleep cycle, and the mattress does something amazing. It changes its temperature through the night to make sure that in each sleep cycle, you're getting the optimum sleep for you. Now, I know you guys are interested in checking them out, so head to 8sleep.com/powerproject, and you'll automatically be able to save $150 off of your Pod Pro cover or your Pod Pro cover and mattress combo. Check them out. Enjoy the video.
Are we gonna talk about OnlyFans?
I mean, if you want to,
I think we already are.
Yeah.
We already. Yeah.
So, what's your plans for the OnlyFans for your feet, dog?
Are we recording right now?
Of course.
So
we're actually recording for OnlyFans. Thanks, Andrew, for setting that up.
Absolutely. Yeah.
No, it's funny because I was talking to a guy the other day, and I have this dude who has like a super foot fetish on my feet who wanted pictures. and I look at my feet and they're super unique, and they're the fattest, flattest foot on the planet. And I'm thinking, anytime you're the most unique at something, maybe there's a revenue opportunity.
Always.
And so why not create a revenue opportunity of OnlyFans for my fatflatfoot.com or whatever.
And to be perfectly honest, man, it doesn't bring any type of bad reputation to you because you're not doing nudes. It's just your feet.
Hey, but they don't even need to know it's me. I'm just thinking it's fat flat foot, right? And then, bro, you start an OnlyFans? Jason Khalipa has nothing to do with it. I mean, that foot could be in Hawaii. That foot could be on a bowling alley, or that foot could be
in New York City.
That foot could be anywhere, dude.
I think another invention just came to mind. So a lot of times people are trying to restore like an arch, and they put in like arch support.
Right.
You and I, if we team up on this idea, if you're in on this, we can go in on this together. It could be to help promote flat feet because you're a former CrossFit Games champion,
dude,
and you're proficient at jiu-jitsu and you're doing all these other things. I think that we can start to promote a flat foot.
Dude, we got to get behind this flat foot idea. No, the truth of the matter is, since I was a little kid, the doctors have always been like, oh, we need to do inserts. And so when I was really young, I did start doing inserts. But as I started like, getting more into sports, and eventually when I found CrossFit, I had this big network of, physical therapists and different people. I started looking at it differently. Like I tried to have more of a minimalist shoe approach compared to like this giant shoe approach, and never even worried about the arch thereafter. It just kind of like was what it was and never affected me. Any foot cramping or things I get from like jumping rope and stuff, I think other people get too. And I don't see any negative to my fat flat foot, other than the fact that when I get out of a pool, it looks like a Sasquatch, just like
it's a round print.
Oh, dude, like, bro, I should show you. I mean, and I never realized it was a thing until like later on in life. So my wife and I met really early on, and I remember we were like 15, 16, we were at the swimming pool, and she gets out and she has like these pretty like foot marks, and I get out, she's like, blah, blah. And she's like, Jason, like, dude, you got some like funky ass feet. And I'd never known until that moment because no one ever called me out on it. So
I saw like on your IG, you were like messing around with something. I don't know if you were trying to do something in particular with your foot or how you were doing it, but you were working on something new. You were working on something different. And I saw Miranda posted on there. She's like, you're just figuring this out. And she put like a big exclamation point on it.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, this is too funny.
What it was whenever I do like a double unders, presses, something where like you're really like time on your feet type thing, my feet would cramp. And so before the workout, I'll spend time actually like what I'm doing right now, using whatever this thing is.
The Naboso ball, yeah.
Yeah. I just kind of breaking it up, opening it up. And then it really helps with foot cramping, because you'd be surprised, man, when you're in the middle of like a really intense workout and your feet start cramping, dude, it's like debilitating and you feel like such a wimp. So anyway, that's something that helps.
Run into any cramps in jiu-jitsu? Because I'm always thinking like that's got to happen a lot in that sport, but does it happen? I don't know. You guys do it. So
yesterday I had a woman, she's very, very talented. We were getting in some good rolls together, and she put me in this one position that triggered like a little bit of like a calf cramp for a second. I think it's a combination of like your body getting into a position you're not as familiar with, and then also just hydration. I'd been traveling the day before, and so I think those two things can really contribute in jiu-jitsu. Is like you get in these positions that like you can't even like make them up. It just kind of happens. And then also obviously lack of hydration.
Do you remember when you started, if you like experienced more than now, like how your body development has gone?
Yeah, I think when I first started jiu-jitsu, I would cramp more often when I found positions my body wasn't used to. Now that I've been doing it for 6 years, I don't cramp as often. But I still get it every now and then. Do you get it every now and then?
Not really. I like.
Did you used to?
Yeah, when I started. Yeah. But that's exactly the thing. Like when your fucking knees coming
Stay
up
on
here.
mic. I don't want Andrew to get.
Yeah, sorry,
Pissy.
Andrew.
Well-
You can see his eyes, huh? You saw his eyes as I was talking.
Because I was looking at
He rubbed his beard.
I was
He's like,
measuring I was measuring the distance between your face and the microphone. I'm like,
Yeah.
dude, he's at least like 2.5 feet away. And I asked if he can get like 2 inches away.
I was definitely like over. Yeah, I'm fucking with you, Andrew. Yeah, but like, you know, when your knees coming up here and shit, you know, it's you're gonna cramp up. But
And some of it-
electrolytes and
I think as he's pointing out, like it's not always electrolytes. It's just maybe relaxing too, breathing and learning these. They're newer positions, right? You're uncomfortable with them.
absolutely breathing, relaxing. But again, you get into so many positions that you've literally never been in when you do jujitsu that it's like your body's just discovering new ranges and it's gonna seize up because it's not used to that.
That's got to be kind of scary because you got to kind of determine, like, am I going to get hurt here? Should I tap? Like, what's going on?
Well,
Right?
then there's obviously like your ego gets in the way for sure, 100%. So not mine yesterday. That wasn't the end of the world. But in other times, I've had my calf cramp, and I'm like, dude, you're trying to like submit somebody, and they're trying to submit you, and you can't be like tap 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 or like hey, can we pause for a second, dude? I got a calf cramp. They don't give a shit. They're trying to tap you out. So there is this moment of like working through it, right? Versus just like taking a break. But I think that a benefit prior to rolling jiu-jitsu, I think as long as you're working specific ranges of motion, oftentimes if you're drilling beforehand, you're really working different areas. Those have been things that have helped me not cramp when I'm actually rolling, right? It's just like anything. If you prime it up right and get the muscles and the body prepared, you're less likely to have that. It might still happen, but it's less likely.
You went to the Rogue Invitational recently?
Heck yeah, dude.
How was that?
I just got back. So today is, what day is today? Tuesday?
I think so. Wednesday?
Today's Wednesday.
Oh, today's Wednesday.
Holy fuck, I know the day.
Dude.
Fucked up for a second.
I'm so proud of myself.
So Wednesday, Halloween was on Monday. And so the Rogue Invitational typically is like the weekend before Halloween. So I got out there Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And then I came home on Monday so I could do Halloween with the kids. But yeah, it was great. So for those, listening who aren't very familiar with the Rogue Invitational, it's an annual, it's done it several times now, CrossFit competition, but they also then have like additional things. So I think what they're doing a really good job of is raising awareness for multiple different like iron sports, such as Strongman, record breakers, and then CrossFit. And then they added a division called Legends. And so I got invited the first time in 2019 as a legend. And in 2019, it was a little bit different. But now this year, this is my third time as a legend there. And basically what a legend is, it's like a combination of people that like have won the CrossFit Games, have done something for the sport, and or, Rogue feels like they've contributed something that they should be considered a legend or a Hall of Famer or whatever you want to call it. So this year, though, it was like in pairs. It was pretty low key. You basically just go out in front of the crowd and just like do events and just show that you're still fit, still active, and talk to the community. It's great. So it's a very relaxing event versus like competing in the CrossFit Games.
Was some of your old competitors there, and were you getting like competitive, or were you able to chill? I don't think you're able to chill.
No,
are you?
I do get a little bit competitive. Oddly enough, so yes, like Josh Bridges was there, Rich Froning, Matt Chan. There was quite a few of us, Dan Bailey, and the last event I did, I got to basically, you're in pairs, so it's kind of hard to judge who wins, who doesn't. But it's you do a round, then your partner is a round. I just wanted to beat the other guys in the first round. So I went out hot. Like, I just went bat out of hell, tried to win that round. So at least I could say later on, like, oh yeah, I beat everybody in the first round. Yeah. But then, then it goes into your partners. But it was a good event. One of the things, they introduced a new movement where you're on, you guys know what a bar muscle up, so like bar muscle up, but you do it on a wooden log. And I liked this because it gave you more of a feeling like you're going up and over a rooftop versus like a thin bar. So it gave more utility to other items. But it was just like it was hard because it was like this thick log that you had to get up and over. Wow. So it was a similar movement, but a different spin on it, which I thought was a nice twist. And then the other thing that got me like, I was a little nervous is they had a monkey bar traverse. And it wasn't very far, but it was far enough that like if you messed up, you looked like an idiot. So the night before I was worried because this event was like, you run, you do some lunges, you do some monkey bars, you pull this sled. Everything was pretty standard, but you don't want to be the guy who misses the bar on a monkey bar and falls on his ass. So that was the one thing that had me a little worried, but it went great.
Is Dan Bailey on the juice? That guy's super jacked.
Dude, so I don't think Dan Bailey's on the juice, but that dude is super jacked.
It's a little crazy looking. When you see him, you're like,
Hey,
Andrew, I've never seen him.
Andrew, look up Dan Bailey, Jason Khalipa, Iron Triathlon.
Okay.
Yeah, Dan Bailey's yoked. Shout out to Dan Bailey. I know who he is. He and I met
Is it
before.
triathlon?
Yeah, just you should just do that. I think that'll work.
I think he worked for Rogue, or maybe he still works for Rogue. I don't know.
Oh yeah, so that's, I don't know if people could see his picture, but it's on YouTube. It's called the Iron Triathlon, and man, it was aggressive. So we show up to CrossFit HQ. This is a few years back, and basically the organizers are like, hey, we're gonna film you guys do a workout. And we're like, oh, okay, cool, like whatever.
Yeah.
They're like, hey, we're gonna go 1 to 20, so 1 rep to 20 reps of it is 1.5 times bench, 1.5 times deadlift, body weight bench press, and like X% on the squat clean. So that right there on that bar is like, I think 160 pounds or so. So it's like, it was a certain percentage. I can't remember now, but you go 1 rep of each, 2 reps of each, 3 reps of each, 4, etc. And man, it took a long time. I think it took me an hour and a half.
Wow.
And you're just smoked. But yeah, if you look it up, it's called the Iron Triathlon, Andrew. So that was,
Check it out.
me and that guy threw down on that one.
An hour and a half of lifting.
Dude, nonstop lifting. I mean, it was at the end, man. You're just like, I mean, the bench press was the best part. The deadlift, the squat clean got really tough. You're just smoked.
Do you care about half that stuff anymore? Or is that like left because of jiu-jitsu maybe replacing some of...
Like, I'm still competitive. So on Tuesdays, we film and we do workouts at our gym. Oh yeah, here it is, right? So, that's Dan Bailey with his jacked upper body.
Yeah,
there.
look at his fucking arms.
Yeah.
Forearms, triceps.
You said that like he doesn't have a jacked lower body. Does he not have a jacked lower body?
Not as jacked as his upper body. But here's homeboy. Here I am, right? So this
triceps.
Yeah. Oh, so it's 315. I guess I have 315 deadlift. It's like, anyways.
You guys are monsters.
But yeah,
Fuck that.
So I still throw down hard, just with different intent now. Like I throw down hard in the gym. I throw down hard on the mats. Just trying to, dude, my big thing is, man, like I want to be able to keep up with my kids. And like something I really think about a lot is like live freely, live fully. And what I mean by that is like, I never want fitness to inhibit what I want or need to do, ever. And so as long as I can keep my fitness to allow me to do anything I want or anything I need, I'm good. And as soon as I start going too hard that it takes me away from those goals, I need to slow down. So like if I'm training so hard that I'm getting hurt and I can't, pick up my Ava has a broken foot right now, and I can't pick her up because I, was deadlifting too heavy. It's like, come on, man, like get your priorities straight. So that's kind of where I'm at right now.
Yeah. Has jiu-jitsu opened up any types of doors as far as your fitness is concerned? Because CrossFit was a pretty well-rounded sport, but doing jiu-jitsu for 6 years now, what have you noticed?
Yeah, I mean, CrossFit's very well-rounded, but it is and it isn't. Meaning like there is no dynamicness to it. So like, let's just say the event was Fran, which is 2159 thrusters and pull-ups. Nothing's coming back at you. So all the inputs are one direction. There is no input back. And I think for CrossFit, we try and spend a lot of time doing stuff outside the gym, but most of the time it's just in the gym. Yeah, I expose myself to stand-up paddleboarding, swimming, biking, this, that, but they're all kind of within this realm. As soon as I got out of that realm and started doing jiu-jitsu, I actually feel like my athleticism has like doubled. Not so much in my capacity for workouts, but my general athleticism. So like the way I feel where like, if I'm trying to like dip and dodge something, if someone
to throw something at you or to you, you can react to it.
I just feel more reactive, right? I feel more athletic because I'm being more dynamic on the mat, which I think then transfers into my life. Before, I didn't spend much time being dynamic. One of the reasons is I was worried about the risk of injury too. So anytime you're being dynamic with another partner, like let's just say Nsima and I are doing jiu-jitsu, there's a lot of inputs back and forth, but some of that I can't control. So I had to be careful not to do that when I was competing professionally, because I don't want to get hurt if he does something to me. And it wouldn't be, he's not going to do it intentionally. It's just, it might happen. So those are the trade-offs. But yes, my athleticism, I think, has really progressed since doing jiu-jitsu.
CrossFit ends up being like a game and a sport. And so when you do something like a box jump in CrossFit or the jumping over the barbell and stuff, everything's trying to be as minimized as possible because you're trying to do it for a while. So the carryover into sport sometimes may be good because of the conditioning, but it also might not be great because sometimes in sport you got to go 100% maybe.
Yeah, and you have to be dynamic. So like the guys who really excelled at the CrossFit Games, when you look at them, I think I excelled just because of like brute, just like willpower. But I think if I had done more things to enhance my overall athleticism, I actually would have performed better. Like the best example was in 2011 or 12, they had this event at Camp Pendleton, which was really cool, by the way. You start off the swim, you got off the swim, you biked. After the bike, you ran, and it was like a lot. Then after you did this triathlon, you rested for about an hour, give or take, and then you did an obstacle course that was at Camp Pendleton. So that was another sport event. So in that morning, a lot of points were up for grabs. And I specifically remember, I get through the triathlon, it was what it was, right? It was tough. It was very, very tough. But when I got to the obstacle course, I felt so much less athletic than the guys who spent time playing more like collegiate type sports or things like that. Like Rich Froning, who plays, who goes out and does flag football, plays basketball, plays baseball, or others who have similar backgrounds. They were able to act quicker than I was. Like when the obstacle course started, it was a race. There was 5 of us, and you'd race. And I just remember if I second guessed even for a second, I lost that event. Had I had a little bit more of that dynamicness, athleticness, I think that could have helped me in my career.
Do you feel like you were maybe a little bit more athletic before you got pretty heavy into lifting / CrossFit, like when you were younger?
No, I think...
Do you think it declined from lifting and getting like bigger and tighter and stronger? Or not really.
Not really. Okay. I think that I was trying to manage... I think I was trying to be the best CrossFitter in the world. And I think to be the best CrossFitter, I had to spend a lot of time doing like CrossFit-ish stuff. And so if you look at the year, you do like an online open, it was in a gym. You knew what you're doing. You go to regionals in general, you knew what you had to do. Then when you go to the games, there's a little bit of a margins that kind of lead out here because they have ability to do like some weird stuff, like just a bunch of weird stuff. So that was when I would train the weird stuff for like 2 months. But if you think about it, compared to the rest of the year, that means 10 months I'm training CrossFit, 2 months I'm training weird stuff. So I didn't spend as much time exposing myself to more things, which I wish I should have in hindsight. I think it could have helped me.
So this is a total what if, but I'm wondering, with all the different types of programming you do nowadays, jiu-jitsu isn't something you can just program in. Obviously, you've gained a lot over jiu-jitsu. Like you said, it's doubled your athletic ability. But what do you think you could have programmed into your CrossFit training at that time to become more dynamic and athletic and allow you to be a better CrossFitter?
Yeah, I mean, it's a good question. I'm going to flip it back to anybody who does CrossFit a lot. What we say when you're a hardcore CrossFitter is you take a guy like, let's just take like the best surfer in the world. Name a surfer, right? And Kelly Slater. And you say, hey, Kelly Slater cannot perform a pull-up. I'm going to try and get him to perform a pull-up. And I think as a byproduct, his surfing will actually get better because he has an inefficiency here. We strengthen him. I think it'll carry over into his surfing. That's like the theory that a lot of people in CrossFit would say, like, hey, find someone who's great at their sport, look for areas that they don't have experience in or whatever, optimize it. And I think it'll actually help them in their sport, which I've seen to be true in general. But the opposite also works, meaning if you're really good at CrossFit, but you're not exposing yourself to skills outside of that, I actually think that exposing yourself to skills outside of it will benefit your CrossFit. So an example would be if you're a world-class CrossFitter, but you cannot, you do not open your mind neurologically to connect your brain with your body to perform an arm bar in jiu-jitsu as an example, or to even know how to get to certain positions like sprawls into sit-throughs and stuff like that. I wonder what would happen to your CrossFit game if you unlocked these threads from your brain to your body that other sports would give you. That's the theory, right? Like, and unlocking them in like a really like, for example, for many years I couldn't throw a ball for shit. Now, because my son's really into baseball.
Got to bring up the video.
Oh my gosh. No, I've been looking for it because I wanted to make sure I deleted it off the internet. Dude,
The softball throw.
The softball throw was so embarrassing. I wasn't able to find it. I hope you can't find it, Andrew.
I'll dig.
Oh, goddamn, find it.
But
He was at the games too, right?
he was at the games. But the reality is,
Picture a left-handed throw.
oh yeah, picture a shot put.
Hey, I ain't any better, so I can't really comment. But
my question would have been to myself, right? Is like, put your money where your mouth is. Like, if you're saying to another athlete that, hey, baseball player, you can't do a pull-up. I think if I teach you to do a pull-up, you'll get better at baseball. Well, how about the other way around? If I can't throw a ball, maybe if I learn how to throw, it'll unlock a chain that'll open me up in CrossFit. And so those are the things I wish I had considered more, because now that I'm going through jiu-jitsu, my body's now reacting to things before my brain even thinks about it. Like, my body's just naturally reacting to things. I think if I had exposed myself to more sports, which is part of the charter of CrossFit back in the day, we just got away from it. I think it would have helped me.
unlocking that chain is what we've been doing. I feel like I think Nsima's doing it really well, because the inputs of jiu-jitsu and then just some of the stuff that we've been messing around with in the gym, the different movements. I think sometimes people see me do those different movements and like, Mark's lost his mind.
Yeah,
like,
well, dude, the best one was you. Did you see me message you? You're running on Instagram. You're running like sideways.
Oh yeah, sideways and then sideways and then back and forth.
Yeah.
I got such a kick out of that, because I'm like, dude, fuck yeah, Mark, you go for it, bro. Like,
It's also part of just having fun,
Dude.
Like having fun has to be implemented in there somewhere.
yeah, I agree. I mean, even right now, like as we're standing, we're stepping on these things, and it's putting an input into my body that might produce some type of output. And I think that we just need to look at training more open-minded. Oh yeah, this is Mark. Look at that. And I think you had it with the background of like nothing but a G thing.
Yeah.
In Vibrams, by the way.
Nice.
5-finger shoes.
Yeah, I think it's important to figure out ways to play. So I know that looks really silly, that looks really weird, but who else displays that every single day of the week and twice on Sunday are young kids. They don't mind being weird. They don't mind being funky. They don't mind like doing a weird little dance or shuffle. It's not anything they even maybe are mimicking or copying sometimes. Sometimes making up their own thing. You have your own children. I got mine, and I've seen them over the years. When they're 5, 6, 7, it starts to kind of slow down when they're 10, 11, 12. They burst out of the car, they run, they jump up on the sidewalk. Like everything is like a box jump. Everything's like a burpee. Everything's like
They're just moving.
They're moving a ton. They're going and they're throwing, they're jumping, they're running, they sprint. Remember how often your kids would like sprint somewhere? Dude. You're like, what the?
Caden still does that. It's pretty fun to watch, actually. But like, here's a great example. Like as kids, look at our playgrounds. Like we're a playground is nothing more than just a bunch of like jungle gym stuff. Like monkey bars and stuff like that. And I think those are like human movements. And I think a lot of us have gotten away from that. And it's unfortunate because, I think that's long term, that's going to be an issue. We got to get people moving, whether they're moving the way you were there, doing CrossFit, jiu-jitsu, whatever you're doing, as long as you're moving, we're moving in the right direction.
Mm-hmm. But it is really cool to hear you say that, because you've been at the top of the CrossFit Games. You've been working with so many people at this point. But something like jiu-jitsu, which is a really fun thing because it's not only is it grappling and it's different types of movement, it's very dynamic, but there's a cool community aspect to it too that's somewhat similar to CrossFit. One of the reasons why people love CrossFit so much is, variable type of training, but you go to your box and you train with your community. You know what I mean? It's like, typically, you're training with other people. Jiu-jitsu, you're going to a building and you're sparring and grappling with a bunch of different people that become friends, and some of them become as close as family. So it's another community-based thing, which is why it's probably growing so fast, as you've seen.
Dude, we were talking about this earlier. When I got into CrossFit, so I found CrossFit in 2006. I won the CrossFit Games in 2008, and I competed there for the next close to a decade. And I watched the sport and the community grow tremendously. And it was beautiful, and it still is beautiful. But I see a similar trend with jiu-jitsu a little bit, that is like now it's really starting to take off. It came from Brazil. It was kind of a fringe thing, but now a lot of Americans are getting into it. There's a lot of sports. There's ADCC. There's all kinds of stuff. I was at ADCC's, which is the Abu Dhabi Combat Championship Club, Abu Dhabi Combat Club. And it started off in Dubai. Mm-hmm. And it's a no-gi grappling tournament that happens every 2 years. It's like the Olympics. But I went to it this year in Vegas. It was like maybe, 2 months ago. Sure. And dude, this place was just, electric. And it reminded me a lot of like the CrossFit Games in 2012, 13, 14. And I think it's because of what you said. Like there's this shared suffering, there's community, community. It's and there's just a lot of energy behind it.
Yeah.
I think it's giving really interesting inputs into people. Like you mentioned, like unlocking. And I like that topic because I feel like I think that a lot of people are in pain. I think a lot of people that did powerlifting for a long time, bodybuilding, CrossFit, and I would imagine you can make an argument if you do anything for a long time, you're going to be screwed up. So you can make the same argument for being banged up from like jiu-jitsu and from all these other things, depending on how you do it, how you program for it and things like that. But I think that people are just starting to kind of look for something different. You're seeing a lot of lifters switching into running. You're seeing like lifting will always be around, but lifting as we know it right now, I think is going to change massively. I think bodybuilding is going to completely die. I think the sport is going to die, but reshape itself and reform itself. So the big boy bodybuilders, I think, will be gone.
Like you've
look at
bodybuilders.
Look at Chris Bumstead. He's like flipped the sport upside down. So he's still fucking massive. Like, don't get me wrong. There'll still be some people that are big, but it's going to be different than what we've seen in the past. I think the gyms are going to look a lot different. CrossFit kind of set some standard for that, where the gym would have a lot of space and have a lot of places to like do stuff, jump rope, but I think that's going to even change even more.
Yeah, well, I think one thing with the bodybuilding, what I think has been shown, and I'm not as much in that world, but I think these guys who used to be extremely massive, like, natural or not, extremely large, I don't know if they're generating the type of ad dollars and spectator growth that like these middle guys,
the classic physique guys.
The classic physique.
Correct.
And I think ultimately where the sport goes is where the fans and the money are going. And if it's saying, hey, we like this, I think that's ultimately where the sport's going to go, right? Is that what you kind of mean?
Well,
100%.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Well, even younger, like when you pay attention to what people who are into bodybuilding, when you see the younger guys who are starting to pay attention to bodybuilding, it's like the teenagers, early 20s dudes, those guys like classic bodybuilding more. They like classic bodybuilding, men's physique. There are some people that are into the mass monsters, but it's not nearly as popular as it used to be because, like you mentioned, if somebody saw Big Ramy walking around off season in a shirt, if a kid saw that, they just think that guy's fat. He looks like a puffball, unfortunately. Right. But it's not an appeasing thing to look at. And even when you see them move, they don't move well.
Yeah. It's really interesting. I mean, I'm thinking the same thing as the sport of CrossFit. Like, I don't know where the sport's going to go. I think they have a lot of, I have my own opinions on this. I think they need to determine what the charter is for the next 5-10 years. It's always been this idea of unknown and unknowable. But as a spectator, it's kind of difficult because you want to be able to get connected to the athletes, to the events, to the whatnot. But if it's always new, it makes it difficult as a new spectator come on and understand the events. So I think that they need to figure out what their charter is for the next 10 years. But what you're seeing is one of the women, her name was Emma Lawson. She just competed at the Rogue Invitational. She took third, I think. She's 17 years old. And if I'm not mistaken, like much of her exposure to CrossFit is like just CrossFit. Like she never did. I could be wrong, but like if you're getting into CrossFit when you're 12 years old, you're pretty much specializing that. And, she's performing very well, but I wonder what the future of CrossFit looks like where you have these kids that literally come up in the gym. They don't play other sports. I'm curious what will happen long-term to that with these kids who start specializing in CrossFit instead of having other sports and activities and then utilizing CrossFit as a catalyst,
You're bringing up something that's kind of exciting. Like the UFC in the beginning stages was really interesting because there were people that specialized, but I think maybe people didn't really know what MMA was. They didn't get it. And it took a little while to catch on to what Hoist Gracie was doing and the Gracie family. But once that was sort of figured out, now it's like, no, you're in a sport where you actually can't specialize too much in any one thing. You could be great in one thing and you can dominate in one thing. You can win a lot of fights that way. But if you only know jiu-jitsu, you are most likely going to get knocked out by somebody at some point. You're going to get caught with something at some point. So you better know how to strike. You better know how to do these other things. We saw the same thing with CrossFit where in the beginning it was new and everyone's like, wow, what is this? I wonder what it's going to look like when they programmed, I got to squat I just got to squat, 405, and I got to be able to deadlift, and I got to be able to rope climb. Like, holy shit, this is going to be really difficult.
Right.
And then people started to specialize in it, and now it's the sport itself is not as special as it was in the beginning, because people are so honed in and focused on getting these, Fran times and stuff, and they probably should have never even organized particular workouts and gave them particular names so they could really be random and you could really be screwed. But they probably did so to have a structure and to have a standard.
Yeah, and to have like a community aspect of it. I don't know what'll happen with it. I'm particularly really excited and interested to see. The future has a lot of opportunities. I think CrossFit just needs to determine, hey, do we want to make our athletes on TV look like gladiators and thrive and give them the events maybe a week in advance so they could test certain things? Or do we want to hit them right before it and test their skill on a random event? There's pros and cons to both, right? Like if you turn on the TV and someone's trying to learn a new skill within the first 5 minutes, if they get it, it's awesome. But if they don't, it doesn't look great. So I just think they need to kind of figure out where they want the sport to go and then dictate that to the community.
How did the Strongman event look at the Rogue Invitational? Was that going really well? Was it well received?
Last year I went and I thought it was well received. This year I went, both years, I would say it's well received, but it's not the it's not the main attraction, And I think it's because Rogue does a really good job of making like the implements like super cool.
Yeah,
like,
they
dude,
look insane.
This guy was doing deadlifts at 900 pounds for reps on top like this log structure. It just looked really cool. It looked really appealing. They had this one event where you had to basically pull this cart up like a railroad, and then when it got over the top, it like dumped over. It was just a really cool, visually appealing. But I feel like,
Wow.
Yeah, but I just feel like for a lot of people, it's just a step removed. But I do think that over time, there'll be more interest in it because Rogue is exposing people to it.
And Rogue made a damn stadium.
Dude,
how
Andrew,
sick is that?
Look up like the pool one. Like it was like on a railroad track. It was so cool.
Dude, that's nuts.
It was on day, it was on another day, I think.
What was the event called? Sorry.
I don't remember what the event was called, but you
I'll
can
figure it out.
Yeah.
Do you think if Strongman, like, if the competition was slightly different, it might be more popular? Like, do you think maybe some of those guys in that sport are a little bit like the bodybuilders we're talking about, like the really super massive bodybuilders? Like maybe that's like, it's not that relatable, but I can relate to like a pull up. I can relate to, even though I've never done like a handstand walk, I can like relate to it. I remember what it's like as a kid to try to walk on my hands.
Yeah, I think, is this it right here?
Yeah,
I think Strongman maybe misses a little relatable stuff.
Yeah, before I hit
on the far left, is that Ben Pekulski?
it looks a lot like him. But before I hit
don't
play
think
though,
so.
it's what I was going to say is like, I think it might not have been great for the Rogue Invitational, but what you guys are going to see right now is fucking huge for Strongman.
Oh, dude. It's,
Like Strongman needs this right here.
Oh,
Wait till you guys see this fucking mountain that they built. This shit is super
no,
cool.
that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Strongman needs this, and there's a prize purse. Look
Look
at
at
this. Look at this. So he pulls that thing up that giant whatever railroad, and then but when it gets to the top, it dumps over. I just think this is an example of what
We got to build one of these.
Yeah, this is what Rogue does better than anybody else. They took the time, energy, effort, and money to build something beautiful like that because aesthetically, it's so pleasing on the eyes to watch this. Now, after it's done, I don't know what the hell they're going to do with that thing, right? But I mean, they spent a lot of money building that thing.
Make a roller coaster out of it.
Yeah, but I think you're right, Mark. Like when I watch that, it looks heavy, it looks hard, but I can't really relate to it. And I think that's why Strongman kind of grows an audience to a certain size, similar to a lot of sports. And then eventually to break past that, it needs to become more inviting to grow the audience. Otherwise, you just can't relate to it. And you could do that by telling stories about the athletes more, right? So I feel connected to that gentleman who's doing it, or they could get more people interested in et cetera, et cetera.
Do you think jiu-jitsu kind of muffles itself a little bit with there's like so many matches going on at one time? I think for the bigger matches, they maybe clear out and they have a focus, but I've seen that like there's a lot of matches going on at one time, even when you're at Worlds. Do you guys think that compromises the sport a little bit?
Well, you got to get through the matches to get to the finals and stuff. ADCC did a good job. They only had 3 mats. They only had 3. Did you get to the point where it knocks over the top?
No, it cut off.
Oh well.
I'll find another one.
Anyways, but I think ADCC did a good job because you had 3 mats, and so you're able to kind of highlight the athletes. But even jiu-jitsu, like as a spectator of the sport, when I went there, I was really interested in watching the people that maybe I knew stories about. So if I'm putting myself in a position of like Strongman or CrossFitters, I only cared about the people that I knew about. So how does CrossFit tell more stories about their athletes that I feel connected to their journey, regardless of what the event is? And then I also feel connected with jiu-jitsu, like, because, I do it. And so, anyways, it goes back and forth. But I think jiu-jitsu needs to determine what the time domain and what the scoring structure will be like long-term to keep spectators engaged.
I think one cool thing that's going on in jiu-jitsu, because you are right, it is getting more.
Watch this. Look at that. Boom.
Oh, shit.
Oh, shit.
How cool is that?
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Right?
Oh, that's sick. Power Project family, how's it going? I hope you guys are enjoying the episode. And I want to tell you, sometimes when you're a lifter, you need certain pieces of equipment that's going to help you perform a little better in the gym. Just like the hip circle is going to help warm up your hips, knee sleeves are going to keep your knees warm when you're squatting. The SlingShots can help you bench a little bit more. But the cool thing is that Mark made all of this equipment when he was in the middle of his powerlifting career because he wanted equipment that could help him perform better, as it can also help you perform better. The cool thing is that all this equipment was made for lifters by lifters. Andrew, could you tell them how to get it?
Yes, that's over at markbellslingshot.com, and at checkout, enter promo code PowerProject10 to save 10% off your entire order. Links to them down in the description, as well as the podcast show notes.
Yeah, jiu-jitsu, it's getting more popular. But for example, Strongman, it's an amazing sport. And I think World's Strongest Man used to get a lot. It used to be on TV, used to get a crazy amount of views.
Oh yeah, dude.
But the thing is it's not accessible. To the average person, it's not accessible. The average person can go find a flag football field and play some flag football. They can go find a basketball court and shoot some hoops. They can grab a baseball mitt and throw a baseball. Soccer, golf, all these sports. It's like your kids do it. It's accessible. Everyone understands it. Jiu-jitsu, CrossFit also. It's all these random gym implements that if you've been to a gym, you've seen somebody with a barbell, you've seen a medicine ball, you've seen a pull-up bar, you've seen these things done, and you can, if you choose to, you can, if you choose to.
Find most of them, yeah.
Find most of them, you can do something. Jiu-jitsu is somewhat like that because within the sport, there's not one archetype of what you see as a champion. There's a lot of different sizes, heights, whatever. You see a lot of different looking people, men and women, that are doing really well at it. And it is somewhat becoming way more accessible because there's so many jiu-jitsu schools around.
You need a partner. And that's about it, right?
That's about
Because there's
it.
those twins that are wrecking everybody, right?
The Rotolo brothers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's brothers and things like that go in and they roll people up because they always have a willing partner, right?
Yeah.
And then you also have celebrities that you see doing it too, which is also something that's sparking more fire. Like, who's that Latino guy who, there's Tom Hardy, but then
Andrew
You
Zaragoza?
talking about Lopez?
Yeah, Mario Lopez.
Mario Lopez. Dude, Mario Lopez is if I'm not mistaken, he's a blue belt and he competed at Master Worlds.
Oh, you saw him there?
Yeah, well, I didn't see him there, but I heard he was there.
Okay,
So,
okay.
I mean, dude, he's legit.
Yeah.
And the,
Spain.
yeah.
Right? He's doing jiu-jitsu too. Yeah.
Tom Hardy, like, dude, if you're going to go compete, you're taking jiu-jitsu pretty seriously.
Yeah. And this is the thing. It's like so many people that people know are doing it and it's becoming more popular. Joe Rogan's a black belt. Lex Friedman's a black belt. Jocko Willing's a black belt. It's like so many people that people do respect have also been doing it for a while. So more and more people are starting to flood the sport because it's not hard to get into it.
Yeah. For sure. I think it's a great entry point, right? I think you could do privates. I think you got to find a good school.
Yeah.
It's very similar to CrossFit or anything like that. And I think that, anybody who has a bad perspective of CrossFit, my recommendation would be that you got to go try and find a great coach. You have to go find a great community. It's the same thing for jiu-jitsu. When you go to, your first school, if you have a bad experience, go try another school because there's a lot of inconsistencies across both sports and platforms, which is not a good thing. I mean, we need to hone that in on both areas. I mean, I have no skin in the game on the jiu-jitsu side. I'm just saying on the CrossFit side, that's one of the challenges I've seen over the years. And we need to rise the tides so that overall the industry evolves.
You see quite a few McDojos in certain parts, like Midwest. Like there are some places where like, this is jujitsu. No, it's not jujitsu.
Yeah, that's
Like,
exactly right.
Like, really? How do I do that again? That'll be $200.
Some of those I see online, there's a Dojo IG. Some of the ones I see, man, are just so ridiculous. Like, I mean, because I think it's real. I'm pretty sure it's real. But the fact that like anybody else there thinks it's real blows my mind. Like this guy will like, whoa, and like
and block and elbow. Has jujitsu, is jujitsu like solving any like problems for you, or is it like I don't know, did you have any attraction to like fighting, or is this giving you some sort of extra confidence somewhere, or like what do you think? I guess like what drew you to it?
Yeah, I mean, if I'm being perfectly honest, I think a few things drew me to it. Number one is that years ago, I used to sublease to a jiu-jitsu gym, and this guy was the most amazing human being. He was such a kind-hearted soul, but a badass. And when I watched him roll, it was like a game of chess. And I was so jealous because I couldn't do it at the time because I was competing in CrossFit. But watching the way that there's logic and physicality combined really inspired me. And so I knew that one day I wanted to get back into it. One day.
Was that guy your coach eventually?
Not really. We just kind of subleased to him.
Okay.
Stanley Kendricks, I think, if I'm not mistaken, his name. He was also worked in the jails. And so anytime the jail guys acted up, he went in there and set the tone.
Yeah, right.
The other thing that kind of drew me to it is that I would always travel the world for CrossFit, and I'd walk around and people would see me and I look pretty fit, and I'd always get like, hey, are you a UFC fighter? Or like, hey, I don't want to mess with you or something like that. And I think to myself, like, I have a lot of skill set with barbells and all kinds of weird shit. I can walk on my hands down the airport if I want to. But my skill set with stand-up was okay because I did Muay Thai for a while. But my stand-up on the ground was just, or my ability on the ground was just terrible. And I remember always asking myself, like, you know, one of my goals long-term is to be, you know, one of the hardest guys in the room to get in a fight with. Like for my family, for protecting myself, for protecting my family. It was really important to me. And I'd go around the airport and people would think that I'm that protector, but I wasn't. I was like a false protector. And so that was
not me, bro. Leave me alone. I'm not going to help.
but that was another thing that drove me to it, right? Is that I wanted to have a skill set that I could invest into today, just like a 401k, that 10 years from now would pay dividends for my family. And that's why I look at jiu-jitsu from a purely self-defense aspect. Now, obviously there's other factors, right? Stand-up game, weapons, you name it. But from something that's in my control, that's it.
Has it helped you be like more direct or anything? Have you noticed anything different? I mean, I think you've always been pretty direct business-wise and otherwise. Like, do you think it's helped with anything that you can think of?
Well, I mean, if you talk about like AMRAP mentality and being present and focused, like you have to be present and focused on the mat. You know, I got to a point in CrossFit where I'm pretty proficient at a lot of the movements. And so I could allow my mind to wander. It'd be like you doing deadlifts. You could wander all day, man. You guys have done this 10,000 times. But on the mat, you can't wander. Because if you wander, you get taken advantage of. So that's one of the other benefits of jiu-jitsu is that when you go in there, you can be having a tough day, but as soon as you hit the mat, the tough day's gone, you're back, you're present, you're focused, and then you can get back to your day when you're done, which fitness for me is an outlet for that as well, for sure. The cold plunge is another example, but I think jiu-jitsu does a good job of it.
So you're at the Rogue Invitationals competing, right? And then you just
Legends category, woohoo!
And then you just went into a national jiu-jitsu competition or Worlds? Or?
Yeah. So I competed in Worlds.
He just like mentions stuff in passing. Like he was doing these like monumental feats, I think.
No. I mean, I just, look, man, I like to get a little uncomfortable. And so I competed in Master Worlds, and that was in Vegas like a month before Legends. So after I competed, then I focused primarily on like weird skills. Like I didn't know what they're going to have us do at the CrossFit competition. So I spent a lot of time doing weird stuff like muscle ups, that kind of stuff. But before that, I was training for this Master Worlds and learned a lot from that experience. It was great.
You got frustrated?
Very frustrated. Very frustrated.
What happened?
Actually, Andrew, if you want to pull up, you can look up like Jason Khalipa jiu-jitsu tournament or something like that. And you go to the end when I finish, because you can see how frustrated I get with this guy.
Is it the Russian you're talking about?
Was it this year, or sorry, what year was it?
Like
2022. Okay.
Look up like purple belt or something like that. I don't know.
I'll find it.
So I go to Master Worlds, and there was 30 guys in my bracket, and my first match went really well. My second match, I had a game plan. I tried to stick with it, and ultimately it came down to a referee's decision, which I've never lost anything in my life based on a referee's decision only. And it was very, very frustrating. So taught me a lot. And I got to be better for next time. That's it.
Yeah. What is it like being able to work with some of the guys over at Kauter, like Mason and Yuri, et cetera? Like, what's it like working with Mason since he kind of coaches you? What's it been like? Because he's a world champ.
Yeah, I mean, Mason Fowler, he's really good. Awesome. Obviously, Yuri. So Yuri won ADCC overall, which is, he won it in a very, he won the overall, like, period. And he gets a fight against Gordon Ryan in 2 years. But Mason, I think he's extremely talented. This guy went to Brazil and won the championships there, which is a big deal.
Yeah.
He's only like the second or third American ever to do that. Mm-hmm. So, you know, he comes and does workouts with me and then he helps him with jiu-jitsu. But it just shows that there's levels to this game. You know, like I'll go to my normal jiu-jitsu spot and it's like, there's a certain level there. But man, when you go and you train with these guys, you've been there. Mm-hmm. It's literally like it's a whole different level, right? I mean, they're in it to be professionals. They're not in it to be amateurs. It's just a different mindset, right?
Yeah. I remember going to some of the gyms. You still have gyms, but I remember going to some of your gyms and it was like famous CrossFitter, famous CrossFitter, famous CrossFitter. You built an environment like that yourself at your gym back in the day to help you to excel and help your team excel, right?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I remember you guys coming down too, and we would have, you know, creating a training environment where you're trying to push each other is the key, and having a fun environment where you can get the intensity you need to garnish to create results was always important. And that's what they're doing in jiu-jitsu, because you have to have good training partners. Like anybody who thinks they could win without good training partners is you know, I think mistaken, because you have to have that input, especially in jiu-jitsu.
Yeah. The interesting thing is, you know, we had Cassio, who's my instructor, on here recently, and he even mentioned the same thing. Jiu-jitsu now, a lot of jiu-jitsu athletes, they're breathing jiu-jitsu. Like they're doing multiple times a day, every single day. But he did mention there's Roger Gracie.
Yeah.
And Roger Gracie was a guy who, Cassio at least mentioned this. He's like, he didn't have world champion training partners, but he did a lot of specific training. Like even Rogers mentioned he did a lot of specific training where he'd have some of his best training partners take my back, put me in mount, just put me in these bad positions and do your best to hold me here. And he would just, that was the way he would do it, because he didn't have world champion training partners. And he managed to win worlds like 10 or 11 times. But now jiu-jitsu is a bit different, you know?
Yeah, man. And you have great coaches. It's just like the sport of CrossFit. You know, I remember when I first got into it, it was like a big deal to do a double day. Like it was a huge deal. Like I remember first, like, it's like, wait, you did 2 workouts today? It's like, yeah, dude, like this morning I did some cardio and like now I did some this. It's like, oh, no shit. But now here we are all these years later, and these athletes are training basically all day long. And they're, you know, that's one of the other things about CrossFit for the games that I think they're gonna have to pay attention to, is like these athletes are, because of all the different modalities, they have to spend, you know, 5-6 hours a day training. How sustainable is that for the new breed who has full-time jobs too? So that's something that needs to be considered, is like, where's the balance going to be where you can get new athletes in that aren't being paid sponsors or whatever. But how are you going to do that if you know, if you need to spend 6 hours? Because like in jiu-jitsu, you can specialize in jiu-jitsu. Maybe you spend 3 hours on the mat plus another hour training, whatever. But in CrossFit, you have to be good at weightlifting, swimming, biking, gymnastics, running. Yeah.
It sounds like you've been on a mission for a little while of maybe trying to solve, I think maybe what some other people are trying to solve, and that is to not be so, like, you're addicted to exercise. We're all addicted to exercise. We love it, but we also are in recognition not everybody is.
Oh yeah.
And you're trying to deliver some sort of fitness in a quick, manageable way to where people can have it introduced in their life. And you mentioned something earlier about having not pull too much away from like your day to day. You want to still be fulfilled, still enjoy your day, but you don't want to spend so much time doing it that it's detrimental to hanging out with your kids, hanging out with your wife, those sorts of things, right?
I mean, I look at fitness as like, I want to be as fit as possible for all the days of my life. Not today, not tomorrow, not next year, not next month, forever. And I want that for my family as well. So that plays a big role in how I introduced my children to fitness. I introduced them in a way where, like, dude, we got to slow play this thing, man, because I'm trying to play this out for the next 80 years for them, 100 years for them. I'm not trying to do this for the next 3 years. So if that means that, where they're at right now is going on a walk around the neighborhood, dude, we're winning. If that means that we could get in these 10-minute workouts, great. And that's the way I look at my training is like, I'm trying to do this for all the days of my life. I want to have fun. I want to learn new skills. I want to push myself, but not at the expense of, not having time for my main priorities, which is obviously my family and the business, right? So, and you can have time for both because fitness is the best part of it's one of the best parts of my day, right? But you don't have to spend 5 hours in the gym. That's kind of the theory. Like this morning, for example, I was in the garage. Ava, she has a really good relationship right now with fitness, which is really nice to see. But we work out every day at 6:10 before she goes to school. We cold plunge, and then we go on with our day. And we normally keep her workouts to 10 to 12 minutes. That's it. And like this morning, I had her do skier because of a broken foot, and box squats and push-ups on the box for 10 minutes. Boom.
Does she enjoy it?
Yeah. Well, she looks at it as, it's funny. Once she started seeing like physical results and mental results, now she's caught the bug.
Yeah.
Because she didn't enjoy it at first, but now that like her body's changing, she's feeling good. Now she looks at it as just a part of her day.
Yeah, I saw her in the cold plunge. That was super cute. I was like, oh my God, it's amazing. And your son is training with you too, right?
Yeah, he's completely different to my daughter. Like Ava's.
He gets all fired up.
Yeah. He could be in the gym. Like if he was with you guys, he'd spend 2 hours in the gym lifting, and you'd have to stop him from trying to go for a PR deadlift. Whereas Ava, she just wants to get in, get it done, move on, and go do her thing. So.
Are you the same way with your nutrition? Like you want to be in shape, you want to be fit, but like not at the expense of like really worrying about it too much?
Yeah, actually, that's a really good way to put it. I'd say that's exactly where I am with nutrition. Like I want to feel good. I want to eat appropriately throughout the day, so I don't have these highs and lows of carbs, right? Where I'm not like having these major crashes. But not at the expense that, like, for example, on Halloween night, a buddy of mine ordered in Baskin Robbins sundaes. Dude, I'm shutting one of those things down. Like, how am I not going to have a Baskin Robbins sundae with hot fudge? Like,
Baskin Robbins is really good.
It is.
So here's the thing about Baskin Robbins. I used to think growing up, like, or maybe like for the last like 10 years, I'm like, Baskin Robbins, kind of like this, like kind of like a chain thing. It can't be that good.
Cold Stone is better.
But
No, it's not.
Dude, a buddy of mine comes and
The ice cream at Baskin Robbins is really insane.
Dude, you could order these Sunday packages. So they send you a pint here, and all the different like fixings, and you can make your own sundae. It's a great family event.
Wait, really?
We just fucked everybody.
I'm serious.
Yeah, you can't do that at Cold Stone.
Can't do that at Cold Stone.
Hey, Baskin Robbins, hit me up for a sponsorship. You know what I'm saying?
Wow. Let me ask you this too. How is because you've been cold plunging for a while now, and you do a lot of work. What have you noticed? How's it been a part of your routine?
Yeah, I mean, I think the cold plunge for me, it's really hard. It's really hard. I'd love to admit that I'm some tough guy. When it comes to the cold, I'm not a tough guy. I'm weak, and it's an area of improvement for me. That's why I wanted it. Whereas Ava, dude, she gets right in that thing. Like, she makes me feel like such a wimp. And so, but the cold plunge has been good because of the mental side, right? You don't want to do it and you overcome that adversity.
Yeah.
Right. Then when you're in it, I think it has good benefits in terms of like recovery, but also just keep my body cold and having it to expend energy to get back to core temperature. I think it's some nice fat loss tool. But more so than anything, again, it's just this mental side. Like, it's something I'm not good at and I want to overcome that. And that's the most beneficial thing. So I probably do it on average 4 or 5 days a week. Ava does it every day.
How do you feel when you get out? Because you don't feel like cold. Cold. But do you feel like, I personally, like, I'm cold adapted now, and I'm not driven to go in and do it, but every time afterwards, I always feel good for hours afterwards.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's something everyone experiences, but that's what I experience.
Oh, dude, I feel like $1 million.
Okay.
How long do you usually go in for?
5 minutes at 52 degrees.
Hey, you dropped it down though.
I did drop it down. Thank you very much, Andrew. I really appreciate that acknowledgement.
Well,
I was about to roast the fuck out of you.
no,
but
the
leave
reason why I
I'll
appreciate it is because my goal was to get to 55 because I'm like, fucking Khalipa can do it at 55. I could do it at 55. But then after a couple things happened, I didn't get into it for a while. And like, so I set everything up. I put water in it. And then like I checked and I'm like, damn, it's only at 65. I'm like, this will be easy. I got in, dude. It was the coldest it had ever been because I haven't been doing it for a long time. And I was like so shook. So I'm going to get back down to 55 and then hang out there, and then Nsima can stop looking at me that way.
Dude, so here's my logic, okay? They say the health benefits of the cold plunge occur when it's something that you want to resist and that
and makes you shiver.
it makes you shiver. So
You're like, I'm there, I'm shivering.
if that for me is 52, then that for me is 52.
Exactly. It still takes my breath away even at 60 right now.
The other logic is, and this is like totally, this is just me making this up, but I figured because I have my kids in it so much, if there was gonna be any haters, or even for myself, be like, hey dude, you shouldn't be exposing your kids to these colds. I'd be like, bro, Santa Cruz Ocean's 50 whatever degrees. I'm just putting it at ocean temperature here at the house.
Sneaky.
So there's nothing to get mad at me about. So you don't want my kids to go in the ocean? Okay. You know,
You just don't want to make it 39.
100%. It's so funny. I blame it on when people are like, oh, how cold are your cold? But be like, dude, my kids go in it, so you know I keep it. I keep it at 52. The reality is 100% on me.
Oh man.
It's and I haven't been able to get my hands in yet, dude.
So your hands stay out,
bro. I get down to my neck.
Yeah.
I'm good. But dude, my hands are like.
Have you tried going in with have you tried any breathing practices other than like just screaming and crying?
So, no, I thought you were gonna say if you tried a wetsuit, maybe I should try a wetsuit.
That would be dope. A wetsuit and winter cap, and you're just like in there, and you still don't have your hands all the way in.
I've tried some breathing techniques, but for the most part, man, like I wonder what my neighbors think because I go in like early in the morning.
I think that
and
too, yeah.
I have like this saying, I'll be like, woo! And I'm just thinking my neighbors probably like, this motherfucker's back in the plunge. Oh man.
Oh, that's awesome, dude.
I do have a good time with it though. The plunge has been a good addition to the couple things I've been adding into my training lately that I have fun with. I like the plunge. Obviously, I like the sauna. I like the multi-grip Rogue bar in camber or regular. If you guys haven't used it, it's a nice new bench press bar that I've been using. It's a fun addition. Just kind of hits bench press in this position versus being here with your hands. That's been nice. And I've been doing a little bit more like D-ball and sandbag work. It's just been fun to switch it up.
D-ball.
Yeah. Oh, it's like a football bar. Got it.
And you've been D-ball, Diana ball. You've been
Looks like that.
Have you been doing practicing some striking? Because I've seen on your Instagram previously, like you were doing some striking, but I don't know if you're still participating with some of that.
Yeah, I do. So I do.
And I didn't even know you could do that. I was like watching one day. I was like, oh shit.
Yeah, so I do self-defense Sundays with the kids, and we spend about an hour in the garage doing self-defense. And so like with each child, it's a little bit different. So with Ava, it's all about grip breaking. So I try and grab her like as if someone was trying to like, this is gonna sound terrible, but at least if someone was trying to kidnap you, this is the way they would do it. They're gonna grab here, they're gonna grab here. I need you to be able to break this off instantly. I cannot have you hesitate. So I do a lot of grip breaking, back take, like I'll grab her, and we do a lot of that stuff, and we do a lot of striking with Ava. And some basic groundwork from the closed guard position, actually. Okay. I'll have her lay down and I'll be in a closed guard position. And so I've been working that with her. With Caden, we do a lot of stand-up striking. So yes, I implement striking probably once a week.
Wow. How long have you been doing that with them? That's pretty awesome, dude.
So I trained Muay Thai. So when I was in high school, I got introduced to obviously football, track and field. And then I started working at the conventional gym. And when I was at the conventional gym, when I wasn't playing football or track, when it was off season, I started getting into Muay Thai. And then before that, like some Sancho, which is like Chinese kickboxing. So I learned some basic, whatever. I used to spar a lot. And then I kind of got away from it with CrossFit, but I still have some basic understanding. And so for the kids where they're at on their like fitness level, I could still kind of make an impact. Once they get too good, then I'll switch them off to somebody else, because I'm not an expert in that.
Does Rich Froning have any jiu-jitsu prowess?
Dude, I tried to get him. So I was with him a couple of days ago. I was like, hey bro, you gotta try jiu-jitsu. He's like, dude, I have no shoulder. I have no meniscus. I can't do that. But I think he would be really dynamic and really good at it. I think a lot of people in CrossFit actually would be really good at it if they took it up. But some of them have some body issues, like mobility.
Are there some CrossFitters currently that that are participating in some jiu-jitsu?
Chandler Smith, who just took second at the Rogue Invitational, very, very, very talented individual. He wrestled for West Point, and he has some grappling and stand-up background. He's legit. I don't know if you want to look him up. He's jacked as hell too.
Wrestling for the Army. I'd say he's pretty legit.
Yeah, and so he aside from him though, no one else really is like
that into it.
That like at a high level, right?
You probably get these
geez,
DMs.
he's really jacked.
I told you, bro.
So you probably get these DMs. Oh, this guy. Yeah, I've seen. Oh, wait.
Uh-huh. We were just talking about
Oh,
this the other
he's
day.
blacksmith, right?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I follow this dude.
Yeah, super, dude. So he's super nice guy.
I'm so pumped that he got second at the Rogue Invitational.
So he didn't qualify for the CrossFit Games last year.
Yeah.
And then he came back and won what they call last chance qualifier for the Rogue Invitational. So he didn't even qualify the way everybody else did.
Yeah.
He had to earn, I mean, everybody had to earn it, but he had to earn a specific spot. And so for him to go out and take second was really remarkable.
How tall is he?
He's a little shorter. I mean, I don't know. Not as tall as you.
Yeah. No, that's all. No, I'm pumped. Anyway.
Strong dude, man.
Yeah.
If you ever want to get connected to him,
Absolutely, please. But I was going to ask you this because you probably get this DM a lot, and it's something that I get asked a lot too. And I want to your perspective. So many people ask, like, I want to start jujitsu, but I have this. I want to start jujitsu, but what do I need to do to prepare myself for it? Generally, though, my answer is like, just kind of go. You know, like you're going to do so many things, but just go. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, I'd say it's the same thing, right? Just go. Start off with either a small group, privates, find a great coach, whatever. If you do have any specific injury, it does make jiu-jitsu a little difficult. Like if you go in there and let's just say you have a broken foot, it makes doing jiu-jitsu very difficult. You can maybe work from just some different positions, whereas like in strength conditioning, you can kind of work around it. The way I like to look at injury and strength conditioning is what can I do versus what I cannot do. And more times than not, you could do many more things than what you cannot do.
Yeah.
In jiu-jitsu with an injury, what can you do is typically going to be less than what you cannot do. So, obviously you want to take care of yourself, stay healthy. And, but to answer your question, if you were healthy and you were feeling good, you just got to go in there and do it.
You bring up a really good point because like, some people, maybe there's a broken foot or something, but a lot of people think about mobility restrictions.
Yeah.
That's one thing I get a lot. It's like, I want to do more stretching before I start. I want to do this or that. But the main thing is if you just go, you start training and you just do your best not to go at 100%. Because most new people hurt themselves because they think that if I go harder versus this person, I'll probably do better.
That's
you
right.
ain't going to be that good anyway, so relax.
Yeah. That was what you said earlier. It hit home to me.
Well, especially in the beginning, right? Like you're just not going to do anything that's going to really wow anybody. So just try to chill out a little bit.
Dude, that's the best advice. Like,
I'm not going to be able to show you any of my strength if we roll together. Dude, not in the beginning.
dude, you just gotta,
I need to learn a lot more.
You're absolutely, that's a great way to put it. Like, you're not going to impress anybody anyways. So just be easy, bro. Like,
The odds of you impressing somebody is really, really low.
it's the
With
odds
something
of you,
that you don't have proficiency in.
the odds of you impressing someone other than them saying, wow, you feel strong or something like that. But you're more likely to piss somebody off.
You
Like,
felt really strong when I choked you out.
yeah. Yeah. Like,
You don't know me
what it
though,
would be.
bro.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't know me.
Well, actually, that's another thing I'm curious about. You, again, when you started jiu-jitsu, you were a former CrossFit Games champ. You were extremely high level at CrossFit. Then you go to a place where everybody is tapping you out and you're constantly getting choked out over and over and over every single day. Andrew's going through that right now, right?
yeah.
Were you perfectly okay with that because you knew I'm new at this, or was there some uphill thing there for you?
no, you have to, when you first off, I think it's really important to find a great coach. So I started off with privates from a gentleman, his name was Bobby. And
Is that the guy I rolled with? I went to.
Yeah.
I don't know. Was it Bobby?
I don't know if it was
This is
Bobby,
years
but
ago.
Yeah.
But anyways, this guy Bobby, he started off with me privates. We did like 10 of them just to kind of like, I also had to overcome like this body thing where like I wasn't comfortable being that close to a man. Like I just wasn't. Like it wasn't common for me. And I'm still not that comfortable with the woman, but I'm better. Meaning like aside from my wife, I'm talking
Yeah, it's
about
different. Yeah.
and so the privates were a great way to like overcome this like awkwardness of like being in a dude's clothes guard. Like it's weird. And it's weird. You just got to get past it, especially no gi, right? If you're in a gi, it's different, but but that helped me overcome that. Then when I went to the gym, as soon as I walked in the doors every day, I would just tell myself like, hey man, you're here to learn. You're here to get better. So are these guys. I have nothing to prove, and check my ego at the door. Every day I just told myself that because ultimately I wanted to be a good training partner. And what I found early on, there was this one time I was a white belt, I was new, and I was being pretty dominant compared to other white belts like probably because of your size and strength, right? And this one day, like, I got done rolling. I was like, hey man, thanks for that. I hope you had a good roll. He's like, not really. And he just kind of walked off. And I was thinking to myself, like, dude,
Was he an upper belt?
he was a white belt.
White belt.
But it was just, and I later on, I reflected on it. I was talking to the coach. I'm like, I wonder what he meant by that. I just wasn't being a good training partner. Like I was being just overzealous, brutal. Like I wasn't being a good training partner. And that's something that really stuck with me is like, dude, I want to make these guys better, just like I want them to make me better. And yeah, if you're really trying to throw down with someone and you're trying to compete, that's fine. But like when you're trying to just like get good rolls in a class, you want to be a good partner. And I think with that mindset, it really helped me from the beginning.
Yeah, that guy, you probably, because being a business owner and owning gyms, you probably thought, I just gave that guy a bad experience. That kind of sucks.
Dude, 100%.
He went home and he's probably bitching to his wife. This guy was like not cool when I was rolling. I was just trying to learn, trying to practice. And this guy was all up on me. It was weird.
Dude. Oh yeah, this was a long time.
Mm-hmm.
This was, oh my gosh.
How long ago was this?
Let's see.
Who's this guy?
I don't even know who that is.
Well, 5 years ago.
Oh wow, Mark, you're fat.
Nah. It's
He's handsome.
I think Andrew filmed it. So
I did.
Andrew's camera
I used my
had a lot of weight.
That's
yeah, I was using the fat lens.
that's another brown. Damn, I forgot his name.
So you
I don't
were at
train
this
there
time a
anymore.
white belt.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think so. Maybe white or blue. I don't remember.
Well, 5 years. So
I was either white or blue, but
I had no idea what's going on. I still don't have any idea what's going on.
Oh,
I haven't
Charlie
done enough.
Zamora, who also does jujitsu now.
yeah, he's really
Yeah.
into it now.
Mm-hmm.
That was when we used to roll deep. We would have like three
Oh, yeah,
cameramen,
a
and
whole
then,
crew.
Like we'd have Charlie there, and then like a social media person.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Charlie was working with ST.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, but anyways, it was a good reflection for me to think about like, hey, being a good training partner. And like, what if you show up for jiu-jitsu, right? And you're like a week or two in, look at this.
Oh no. Oh God.
I just
and then he
remember-
just pops.
I remember all the oxygen was completely out of him as he's still trying to instruct. He's like, yes, and then you're gonna want to put that. Yes. I was just like, oh, that guy.
And he was like, more weight, like give me more weight. And I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't understand. Like he's trying to tell me like to pull the arm. I'm like, I don't know what's going on.
I wonder if he's trying to teach you an arm bar right now.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. There you go.
It's funny when when you get instructed on like moving a certain way.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't know if and then you end up like rolling a particular way and you're like, wait, what happened?
Yeah.
And then you don't even recognize that you have someone in a hold. And they're like, all you got to do is push your hips up a bit. And you're like, really? How hard? Like, I don't want to, if I put my hips up too high, won't it like mess the other guy up? It's so funny. I look at me trying to, I'm like,
So my leg doesn't move that way.
Yeah.
We gotta get you back
That
on the
poor
mat.
guy.
Just
You're trying to get your right leg over now?
I don't know what I'm trying to do.
Yeah,
Try
I
not
think
to
so.
force it, probably.
Yeah, he's trying to get his right leg over. Oh man, you're sitting on him.
It's like Twister.
There we go.
Went the wrong way.
Oh, there we go. Yep.
There it is.
But
Then you
Now
gotta
we got the
jump on
picture. That's
other
all that
side.
matters.
Armbar on day one.
Cool. You have anything kind of new coming up?
dude, just trying to be focused for the business, for gym owners, for coaches. We have something called the NC Fit Collective, which is our session plans and programming. Trying to be the best in the world there and really try and support gym owners and coaches with a bunch of resources. So if you're in that space, hit us up. And then, getting the gyms back or way above where they were pre-COVID. COVID really hit our business hard, especially in California, obviously. And, we want to make an impact on more members' lives. And so we're rebuilding, but it can't happen fast enough, right? It's good. We had an internal competition the other day. It was great. We had 100 of our athletes show up for this competition. It was awesome. Just good energy back in the gyms. So if you live in the Bay Area, come see us. If you're one of our partner locations, you can go visit those too. But either visit us in the gym or gym owners, coaches, hit us up. But that's really what we're focused on right now is like brick and mortar getting back on track and supporting gym owners and coaches through our programming and session plans. That's where we're at.
You have your own podcast as well.
Oh yeah. So actually, dude, it's so funny. We were just talking about the setup. So we've branded it different things over the years, but we're finally sticking with effort over everything. Just kind of, that's a big kind of theory that I live by. And we have a new podcast recording space in the Bay Area. And Mondays I put out these little coffee Khalipas, which just has like 3-minute things that I'm thinking about for that week. Have some guest episodes, and it's called Effort Over Everything. Check it out.
Any more books?
Dude, I think I want to write a book at one point. I think you and I talked about this, about kids and fitness.
Oh yeah.
But at this point, no book right now. Just trying to be a really good dad, be a good husband, focus on the business. And when the time is right, I'd like to put out something for parents who want to incorporate fitness into their children's lives, but maybe don't know where to start. I think that we've talked about this before, but exposing our children to microdoses of adversity, I think is really important, because when life comes and kicks you in the nuts, which it will, you want to expose them a little bit to this so they learn how to overcome it. Because if you just keep them in a bubble their whole life, and then all of a sudden something wrong goes in their life, they can't handle it.
How do you do that?
Well, I mean, obviously, through workouts, I think are a really good way. I think the cold plunge is a really good way.
Maybe explaining stuff to them. I don't know if you've told your children, like, hey, COVID happened, our businesses are, going this way. Like, I don't know, do you share that much? Sometimes people keep that private.
No, they're really involved on all that stuff. And my son's really interested in it, so he's on a lot of the calls I'll be on. He'll just be in the car, just kind of like absorbing. Yeah. But I think for me, it's like microdose of adversity for adults or children. I think on the surface, there's like 3 ways, but there's others, like workouts, right? Because you're like, you don't want to do it, you overcome that challenge. Cold plunging or cold exposure, whatever that is for you, right? And then heat elements, that's another example, right? And then the piece I'd add on there, if you're not really into those things, would be like setting a goal, like, hey, in the next 2 weeks, let's just say you're an analytical person, like, I want to go take this test to, like, that's something that gets you uncomfortable. You need to learn how to overcome it. But the risk of failure is not life or death, right? You want to find things that you can control the inputs and outputs a little bit more, right? So that's the nice thing about a workout, is that you could regulate that adversity versus something that comes and hits you hard in life, like COVID or whatever else, I
think a lot of people just want to continually expose themselves to the successes that they've already had. And that's not a great place to be, because it's hard to expand and grow from there. Yeah.
And there's always going to be, I really think, you and I have talked about this at length, but I think the most eye-opening experience for me was when Ava got leukemia. It's like, dude, you could be rocking and rolling, man, but you never know when life's going to throw you a curveball. And so if you could prepare yourself for those curveballs as best as possible by, like, having good relationships, overcoming adversity, microdoses, doing these different things, being healthy, being active, those are all things I think could help you when life comes and throws you a curveball.
How's she doing now?
Oh, she's doing great. So 6 months from now, actually, if you're in Europe, we'll see you there. 6 months from now, we're doing our follow-up. So when she finished treatment, you know this, we did like a around the world trip. So basically what the theory was, when she first got sick, it was all messed up, blah, blah, for 2 years, couple years. And I was like, hey, when you get done, we're going to do this. And I made it like this grandiose thing. So now her 5-year out of treatment is in 6 months, which means she's technically cancer-free. And so we're going to go, do something big. Wow. I mean, as you should. Like, yeah. So that's what we're doing, man. So if you find yourself in Europe, you got to come party with us.
Yeah, I ran into you out there.
Oh,
last time.
You did? Oh, yeah. We were in like Ireland or something. I don't know.
England.
Dude.
Y'all weren't even planning to do that. It just happened.
I think we just started.
It sort of just happened. Yeah. Like, we didn't like literally just bang into each other, but we were like in the same area-ish.
Yeah.
And we're like, let's meet up.
Yeah, dude.
It was kind of strange.
You're silly, Nsima.
You said it.
Hey, man, I don't know what your mind goes in different ways. Dude, I always appreciate coming out here, though. For anybody listening, these are really good dudes that you guys listen to. They're not just like this on the mic. They're just naturally good people. So I was in the area. I had to come say hi to you guys.
Yeah, much appreciated. Andrew, take us on out here, buddy.
Yeah, before we do drop off, sorry to ask such like an X's and O's, reps and sets question to you, but
I like it.
Yeah, just in regards to like jiu-jitsu and your training outside of the mats.
Oh,
right now, I'm feeling pretty wrecked. I'm still getting acclimated to all the new stimulus. Like my fingertips hurt, my knees hurt, which I've never hurt before ever. But when I'm going to simulate my knee, but like when my knee's trying to get into someone's, like, trying to create these frames, it's never been this cramped in while trying to push out. It's never done that before. So I'm like, I hurt everywhere.
How many days are you going?
So the past 2 weeks I've gone at least 3 days, but I've been doing like 4 a week. The problem is like I would go like one morning and then I'd go like an instructional at night. So it's like I'm doing a little bit too much. In my opinion, I think I'm just going too frequently. But the question I do have is like, I still want to lift in the gym because I have some weaknesses that I want to improve upon, especially now that I have a different goal. The goal before was just like try to add muscle, try to look good, try to feel good. And now it's like, well, let's try to look good, feel good, but really perform well. But with that in mind, like I'm thinking tomorrow I'm not going to go to jiu-jitsu, but I still want to rest up because I'm going to go Friday.
Right.
You know, so like how should I balance the two? And like for yourself, like what is something that you do?
Yeah, I mean, this is a great question. I think this relates to anybody. We talked about like that protector status. So I was just out with I was working with some different military groups, and one of the recommendations I have for military, law enforcement, or everyday people, right, is if you gave me a program that was 3 days a week, 1 hour a day, and you said, hey, I got 3 days a week, 1 hour a day, what would I have you do? I think that's the best program for a jiu-jitsu practitioner, LEO, military. And what I would do is I'd split it into like upper body strength, lower body strength, and kind of like a mixed modality strength, like hang cleans, things like that. And then combine that with the 10 to 15 minute AMRAP. Like, so in my opinion, I think the best route for jiu-jitsu athletes, you get a lot of time on the mat, get a lot of cardio. I think you should be at least doing like a 3 day a week, like upper body stimulus, whether that's a press, bench press, you know, sets of 5x5s, etc. You could work on like a Windler cycle if you want to, and then combine that with like a pull. So you could do like for example, a bench press and a strict pull up. Mm-hmm. That's day one. Day two would be like a back squat and name another movement, maybe a range of motion, right? Some dynamic hip stretching. And then day three would be like hang cleans, kettlebells, things of that nature, right? That's your strength piece. And then on top of that would be like a 10 to 15 minute higher intensity training, burpees, assault bike, rower, that kind of thing. So you're getting a nice cardiovascular stimulus and strength stimulus along with your jiu-jitsu. That's what I would do.
Yeah, that makes a ton of sense. Yeah, so basically you're still essentially going to do like a full body workout, but it's just split into 3 different days, so that way you're not completely like gassing out.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think your strength piece is a little bit more like isolated to the top, bottom mixed, but your metcon or your conditioning piece could be like a mixed modality. But you gotta listen to your body, man. Like if your body's telling you you're beat up, you gotta listen to it. You gotta tone it back, because jiu-jitsu is very aggressive. Unlike strength conditioning, CrossFit, it's aggressive too. Powerlifting is aggressive. But the input is all you. When you are doing jiu-jitsu against someone who's really talented, the inputs are different.
Absolutely.
It gets you sore in ways you're like, dude, what the fuck? Right? So you got to listen to your body and take enough recovery for that. But I would blend it as 3 day a week jiu-jitsu, 3 day a week what I just said.
Perfect. Thank you so much. All right, make sure you guys stick around for Smelly's tip once before we get out of here. Let us know what you guys think about today's episode. Drop us some comments down below. Make sure you hit that like button and subscribe if you guys are not subscribed already. Follow the podcast at MB Power Project on Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter. My Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter is at I am Andrew Z. Nsima, where you at?
Discord, check out the description. At Nsima Inyang on Instagram and YouTube. At Nsima Inyang on TikTok and Twitter. Jason?
At Jason Khalipa. You can find me at a few different places.
Smelly's tip for today is if you want to mess around with some running, just go really, really slow, especially when you start. I don't do anything in particular for my warm-up. I run with a bunch of other people, and they're always like swinging their legs around and doing a bunch of stuff, and I'm always like, I'm just gonna start running, and I'll eventually feel better. So you kind of work it out as you go. That's what I found to be effective for me. But literally, I think it's important that you try to go as slow as you can, like as slow as possible. Go really, really slow. And when you feel like running faster, go slow for a little bit longer until you feel warm, until you feel ready. And then at some point, you'll be ready to kind of take off. Strength is never a weakness. Weakness is never a strength. Catch you guys later. Bye.